What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so this is another example of one of these misleading Ledick posts that I'm talking about. It's gotten to a point where they're so desperate because they know if they use facts, the facts that are out there, their case for LeBron James shrinks because with each passing year, time is running out for them. Time's running out. This guy can't play forever. And they know that the chances for him to pass Michael Jordan when it comes to actual accomplishments, the ones that matter, that they say have been mattering for years, MVPs and championships, finals MVPs, it's passing away. So now they're trying to change it to other things, making it about stats and longevity, when it never mattered for Kareem that he had extreme longevity before. But for LeBron James, all of a sudden that matters. When it comes now, all of a sudden, to final opponents, right? Now they're trying to make it about social media. They're trying to make it about everything other than what actually counts. So this is what this says right here, right? Now, if you look at it on the surface, this looks absolutely daunting. This will have the average MJ fan shaking in his boots. Of the 6 opponents MJ faced in the finals, only 9 players were Hall of Famers. LeBron, in his 8 trips to the finals, 26 Hall of Famers. Now, first of all, don't try to make his ratio 3 and 4, 4 and 4. Excuse me. Nah, he went to the finals 10 times. Let's be honest. Don't try to fuck up. Don't try to shortchange him now, because y'all been bragging at 10 finals, right? So in 10 finals, they claim 26 Hall of Famers, right? But this is what they're doing. They're counting players more than once for LeBron. They're counting every trip that Clay made that he faced LeBron, and Curry, and the fake Hall of Famer and Draymond Green. No. You can't do that. That's inflating his total when you're not doing that for Jordan. So the real count is this. Because they did double count Stockton and Malone. Jordan played against 7 Hall of Famers in those 6 finals. 7. LeBron, 15 and 10. So when you look at it, 15 Hall of Famers in 10 finals, 7 Hall of Famers in 6 finals, the ratio looks a little bit better. But then there's another thing you got to take into account here. When Michael Jordan played, the bar was much higher for what constituted a Hall of Famer. Much higher. Okay? It was much higher. Because you got to remember, there's certain guys that played on some of those teams that will be Hall of Famers today, irregardless of how the rest of their career ended, or, look, Tom Chambers is the first guy to score 20,000 career points and not be in the Hall of Fame. In today's NBA, Tom Chambers would have been a Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot, but he'd be a Hall of Famer. Okay? Guys who were not Hall of Famers in Jordan's era, but with the lowered bar, most definitely be Hall of Famers today. Tom Chambers on the 93 Suns, not a Hall of Famer. More than likely be a Hall of Famer today. KJ. A lot of people forget KJ's not in the Hall of Fame. But he's most definitely a Hall of Fame talent. But he's not in the Hall of Fame. Part of it has to do with injuries. A lot of it has to do with politics because of what he was accused of, right? But talent-wise, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Matter of fact, you can make a great case that from the time of Magic Johnson's retirement in November of 91 till about the rise of Jason Kidd and Gary Payton in 95, 96, KJ was probably the best point guard in the NBA during that span. You can make a case for Tim Hardaway, sure, but I would say it was KJ. KJ was like the dude, the man. Matter of fact, isn't he like one of only... isn't he like one of only... what was it? 3 or 4 guys to average 10 assists in a 5-year span? But he's not in the Hall of Fame. Shawn Kemp, definitely a Hall of Fame talent, not in the Hall of Fame. So that's 3 guys right there that probably should be in the Hall of Fame but aren't. That's not on Jordan's tally. Meanwhile, with LeBron, they're counting a Tracy McGrady, who, from what I could tell, didn't even really play in the 2013 NBA Finals. He was just on the roster. And he was a shell of himself. But they're including him. You know what I'm saying? Plus, we know Draymond Green's a fake Hall of Famer. So, when you really look at it, unofficially, Jordan played against 10 Hall of Fame caliber talents. We'll give LeBron his 15. But really, if you take away Tracy McGrady, it's 14 and 10. So the ratio is about the same. It really is. It's about the same, ladies and gentlemen. Plus, when you look at Michael Jordan and the teams that he played against in the finals, the Lakers won 58 games in 91. Portland, I think it was 60, I'm trying to remember, I think it was 61 wins in 1992. All right? The Suns won 62 games in 1993. At the time, that was a franchise record. Then you look at the Sonics in 1996. They won 64 games. That's still a franchise record. 1997, the Jazz won 64 games. That was a franchise record. In 1998, they won 62 games, tied with the Bulls for the best record. And they had the tiebreaker because they won the season series 2-0 that year. So what I'm getting at is, yeah, you can talk all about this Golden State Warriors team, right? But let's talk about the conferences. You know, Jordan had to contend with the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons in his championship runs. He had to contend with a game Cleveland Cavaliers team that was supposed to be the team of the 90s. He had to contend with the New York Knicks under Pat Riley's direction, later on Jeff Van Gundy. He had to contend with an upstart Miami Heat team. He had to contend with Glenn Rice and the Hornets, Reggie Miller and the Pacers, an upstart Bullets team with young Chris Webber and Juwan Howard and Rod Strickland. You know, he had to contend with a New Jersey Nets team that had a young Derek Coleman and Drazen Petrovic. You know what I'm saying? Kenny Anderson. That would have been a great team had fate not intervened. You know, so he had to contend with Dominique Wilkins and Atlanta Hawks. You know, he had to contend with, Grant Hill and the Detroit Pistons. So it was a lot. The Kevin Mutombo and the Atlanta Hawks and Steve Smith. LeBron, during that time period in the Eastern Conference of 8 consecutive years, let's see, one team I can think of that briefly was a threat, and that was the Chicago Bulls team with Derrick Rose. Other than that, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and Paul George. That was the weakest Eastern Conference statistically. It was the weakest Eastern Conference since the 1950s, ladies and gentlemen. The 1950s! It was even weaker than the Western Conference when the Showtime Lakers went to the finals 9 years. Or 8 years in the 80s. 9 overall. It was even weaker than the West then. And he still had a losing record in the finals. So that's all I got to say about that, man. Don't believe everything you read.